You can't defend yourself on an empty stomach. Eat up.
Let me taste it first, as usual.
Now that you're back from another war, what do you want to do next?
Precisely. We can't afford to underestimate our opponent at this stage.
Kikero and I will meet you in the Senate tomorrow morning to prepare for the trial.
Speak as if your life depends on it. In many ways, it may.
It is a good day, my friend. I've been thinking. You've done the right thing by not crossing the Rubicon with the Legion. It's the right choice. You'll see. Callida was a bit preoccupied. She's concerned about Corvinus. You know that sneaky bastard is still unaccounted for. They won't. The Senate is a virtuous and wise institution. They'll see the truth of the matter. Kikero is probably the best advocate in the Republic, and he's the consul. But what do I know? I'm just a soldier. I hope you're right.
What's on your mind? Your cause is just, and I believe we can convince the Senate. However, our opponent is devious. That worries me. I worry that he will not obey the will of the Senate if the result fails to be in his favor. Will you obey the Senate if you lose? A rhetorical one. I knew you would give that answer. If it were not, our republic would be doomed. Those with the greatest power must be under the most exacting scrutiny. But to answer the question in the spirit I think it was asked, we have Kikero on our side, the second consul. This sort of situation is precisely why there are two. You are my wife. We win or lose as one, and I will stand by on your side no matter what.
You look concerned. Children should never have to worry about their parents. Worry only about yourself. I'll be fine. That monster tore my family apart. Killed my husband and my dearest friend. I just hope they make him suffer. That is a lovely thought, dear. But I'm not sure what he will do if he's no longer our servus. Perhaps he does not want to be a citizen. I don't think so, dear. Somebody needs to run the house, and I need to prepare a feast for our guests. The grand feast we will have when you triumph in front of the Senate.
You should get some rest. Tomorrow's trial will require you to have your wits about you. Those who try to predict the future will only make a laughing stock of themselves. Those who are prepared for all eventualities win in the end. It was not only my duty, but my pleasure as well. Your father made me promise to take care of you, no matter what. Looking at you now, I can only feel pride. I just wish your father were alive to see these days. I've been through much, but I have to admit, these days I feel old. I think I want to see my homeland again. To tell you the truth, I feel like I'm ready to die. It would be nice to see Halicarnassos again first. Thank you.
We will have order in the Senate now! Debating the clarity of the augury will not be productive. The consul himself stands accused. Nothing could be of higher importance. Any other relationes shall be set aside. The result of this relatio again shall be decided per discessionem, and before the sun sets. You may continue, Consul, but please, refrain from delving deeper into matters completely unrelated to our discussion.
Naturally. May I restate the necessity of using my actual title, Dictator, instead of Consul? Do you even know what Dictator in Perpetuo means?
The Domina has a point. Your title was granted for a limited time in order to solve a crisis. Even though the time has not passed, we can certainly say the crisis exists no more.
I beg to differ. The crisis has evidently not passed. It has merely changed context. Allow my colleague Senator Antonius to display with clarity how unprecedented and absurd this relatio is.
Dear Senators, first let us consider the source and the spirit of the regulation that allows us to appoint a consul to the position of dictator. And yet, despite all this, we somehow ended up here accusing the very man who was tasked with the prevention of this crisis.
Thank you, Senator, for this detailed and above all long explanation of something we all knew. Our memories have been thoroughly refreshed. If that will be all, we will finally discuss the evidence presented against the consul. Let us consider the preponderance of indications suggesting your involvement in the Mithridates affair years ago. At the time, you claimed to have no knowledge of your brother's corrupt and treasonous activities. But it is clear now that this wasn't entirely accurate.
I do not like what you're insinuating. My brother died for his crimes, if you remember. Do you mean to say that he was wrongly accused? And then the Senate simply agreed with my unlawful miscarriage of justice? I find this offensive, both to the memory of my late brother and to the august institution of this Senate.
As it represents the will of the people, the Senate is quite obviously incapable of making mistakes.
Thank you.
But you did execute your own brother without waiting for due process. Just as his guilt wasn't for you to establish, his punishment wasn't for you to carry out. Do you have a counter-witness, Dictator?
I am the most important counter-witness here. Let me tell you my side of the story. Therefore, you cannot connect my activities to that war. In fact, it is fair to say my alleged relationship with Mithridates was only in the service of Rome.
Somehow, fair wasn't the word that came to mind. Shall we perhaps talk about the infamous invasion of Egypt?
Infamous is the correct word for it. My accuser ignited a war in a land that was already a province of Rome. She brought chaos and terror to Africa.
The way I see it, she installed law and order, and saw to it that the rightful queen of the people sits on the throne.
I must protest. This is highly unusual, having a foreign ruler comment on our internal affairs.
I must agree. The Queen's opinions on this matter should be of utmost importance. We're listening, Queen Cleopatra.
Of course you are. Now I shall tell you how your dictator redirected taxes paid by our people into his coffers, and how he managed to get both his accountant and proconsul murdered in the process.
A chilling account, Your Majesty. Thank you for your testimony.
Once more, I must direct your attention to the utter lack of credible witnesses. Neither this legendary ledger nor the fictional accountant who wrote it are anywhere to be seen.
Then explain your presence in Alexandria, at the time of the battle. Why would Ptolemy, who at the time was waging war against Rome, be on friendly terms with you?
I was trying to clean up the diplomatic mess created by your legatus.
Interesting how you just tried to cast the Domina as a foe. Despite her natural disadvantages, she was serving Rome at the time, and successfully so, in the end. Let us end by discussing the recent campaign against the barbarians of Gallia. You did kill members of the dictator's Praetorian Guard, didn't you, Legate?
Pray tell, why would my Praetorian Guard attack you?
Indeed, why would one Praetorian Guard attack another? Enlighten us, dictator.
Is that for me to answer? She should answer first.
I see.
I see Senator Antonius has something to add.
Oh, right. I thank you for this opportunity to talk about the history of foreign leaders being represented at the Senate. First of all,
once again, thank you for your detailed explanation of this important issue, Senator. Shall we finally proceed to decide now?
We certainly shall not. The sun has set and a decision was not reached. I believe this relatio is to be declared undecided.
Dictator Lurco is correct, Legate. Our decision has to be reached by sunset. And if not, the relatio will be undecided. But in light of the overwhelming and damning evidence against the dictator, I believe this relatio deserves a proper decision. We reconvene tomorrow at sunrise for the final decision. This shall give the dictator a fair chance to defend himself. One final time. This session is at an end.
Let's wait until everyone has left, so we can talk to Kikoro in private.
I admit, I was rooting for you. But you really did defend your case excellently. Tomorrow's hearing will be a formality. You've pretty much won.
Many among the senatorial class feared that you might attempt a coup in response to pressure from Attilius Lurco. I assured them that my wife would never even consider such a course of action, and of course, you proved me right. However, I want to be certain that you understand the gravity of what you've done. You have murdered the Praetorian Guard of a sitting consul. There may yet be consequences.
Death comes to all eventually. One cannot outpace it. Its messenger is neither exempt nor preferred from its touch.
Despite his futile stalling, you've made it clear to everyone that Attilius Lurco's war in Gallia was nothing but a power grab. Some of the senators do not possess the virtues required for the position. Immoral men are predictable, though. They tend to follow the winner.
It's best to refrain from mentioning these accusations unless we can prove them. Compared to the level of treason implied, the murder of 2 Romans seems trivial. Should he repeat his accusations of murder, it is my hope to use precisely this argument to shield you from them. What is left for him to do? All legal options are exhausted. His legion is disbanded. Even Wixie is finished. And after today, his support in the Senate is gone.
Yet he remains at large until tomorrow. His lack of options may just make him desperate. I agree. We must stay vigilant.
What do you have there?
Food for the Domina and her friends.
Let me have a taste.
It's for the Domini only.
My Domina does not eat anything until I've tasted it.
Well, all right then.
Delicious.
That's odd. I haven't ordered any food to be brought here.
There is no eating in the Senate.
Oh, excuse me. I feel dizzy all of a sudden. There is an odd taste to this food.
Sit down, if you feel unwell.
I can't breathe.
The food was poisoned. Where did that sower go?
He's lost consciousness. We need to fetch a physician immediately.
Armed men have entered the forum.
We brought your weapons.
Old man. He's dead. Lurco. I shall skin your back and lay you on salt. I shall feed your cock to street dogs.
Marlon! Grieve later, Bestia. They're here.
She's still alive. Make sure no one escapes.
Lure them closer. I'll shoot as soon as I see them.
I think I can flank them.
I don't have time for this. Deal with them!
Roman craftsmanship. Didn't like that, did you? Corvinus, that honorless piece of shit! He got away.
Your mother is alone. We must hurry. Knowing Corvinus, he will either go there next, or he'll send someone for her.
He's dead.
I'm sorry. He was a good man. My friend. Your mother.
Meet us in the Regia when your family is safe. Our dear Pontifex, Maximus Aurelius Cotta, will be good to have on our side.
We have basically already won. This attack represents a clear legal victory.
Marcus, this is not the time.